Hello, everyone. Thanks for tuning in once again to Queen Amadai TV presents True Crimes. So as you're coming in, please feel free to go ahead and subscribe to the channel if you haven't done so already. Be sure to click the notification bell and click the word all so that you are notified each time the Queen Goddess goes live. Don't forget that you can follow me on Instagram at QueenAShakur, also on Instagram at divine_goddess_27, and on Twitter at dgoddess27, Brighton, Patreon, and Melanated People at Queen Shakur. Okay, so let's get ready to talk about this nefarious story. All right? Clearly nefarious, people. So let's get into it. And I want to thank you all for tuning in. Ayon, Joe32, Pearly, Jeff ATL, Cole, Cause I Said So, JP, Vince I Am, Millie, True Justice. Let's go ahead and get it started. Now, Anne Arundel County Police have charged a Baltimore police officer with murder and child abuse in the death of his 15-year-old stepson in Curtis Bay. Now, Deson James Edward, also known as DJ, his body was found on July the 6th at the home of his stepfather, Eric Glenn Banks Jr., during a search. Now, court papers reveal a mother's intuition led to the discovery of her unresponsive son inside her estranged husband's home. There is new and conflicting information in the case. Now, Banks's attorney believes this is not a homicide, but rather a suicide. So initially, police said Banks told officers that DJ had left the house, leaving his belongings behind. Now, as officers checked the house, they found DJ unresponsive, hidden away in an upstairs attic crawl space, according to police. Now, I don't know about you, but I haven't heard of anybody's dead corpse being found in a crawl space since John Wayne Gacy, the serial killer, hid 32 bodies in his crawl space. So they say, I can't go into specifics, but I can with confidence say that Banks was very deceptive throughout the engagement. This is what Anne Arundel County Police Chief Amal Awad said. Now, police say several officers took Banks into custody, during which time he said, "My life is over. Choke me." So now he wants to die. Okay. Police said Banks and his stepson's clothes were wet when officers arrived. They also found wet clothing that smelled of bleach in a dresser. Now, Banks and two other children were the only other people at the house at the time. Police said Banks became combative when officers arrived and they were trying to take him into custody, and he tried to disarm an officer. He was then charged with assault, reckless endangerment, disarming a law officer, resisting, interfering with an arrest, and failure to obey a lawful order. Now, mind you, they didn't kill him. And he is black, just so you know. They didn't kill him. That's what they didn't do, because he was one of their own, likely. Now, they say it took several officers to intervene to get Banks into custody. This is what Awad says. He says, there were moments when our officer was struggling with Mr. Banks, but they never tased him. Okay. Anne Arundel County Police said Wednesday that an autopsy revealed Jones died from asphyxiation, with the manner being homicide. So he didn't commit no suicide, honey. He was killed. Okay. According to charging documents obtained by 11 News I-Team, the medical examiner found multiple injuries in the area of DJ's neck, face, and mouth. Clearly, he was strangled. Now, Banks was charged with first and second degree murder and first degree child abuse resulting in death. The charging documents state that Banks admitted to hiding DJ's body, carrying him to the loft area of the house, and hiding his remains in the attic crawl space area. The charging documents state that Banks denied harming DJ and claimed not to know what caused his death, but I thought he said it was suicide. So now he doesn't know? Okay. Mr. Banks could not provide a reasonable explanation for hiding the victim's body. Trying to cover up his crime, no less. Trying to cover his tracks. Now, reached by phone, Banks' attorney, Warren Brown, said this may be a case of suicide. Doesn't that sound crazy? Saying that DJ first tried to hang himself and Banks cut him down and tried to clean up because he had to go with his mom. Then Banks found DJ unconscious in a bathtub. First of all, please make it all make sense. Now, he says that he found him, he tried to hang himself, and then he cut him down and tried to clean up because he had to go with his mom. I'm sorry. If you find someone hanging and you cut them down, aren't you going to call the ambulance to take them to the hospital? And don't you think that likely they need some type of psychiatric treatment and evaluation? What? Now, reached by phone, Banks' attorney, Warren Brown, said this may be the case of suicide, and that's what he stuck to, as I told you. He didn't believe that the man killed him. Is that what he's trying to say? Clearly, he's just doing his job as a defense attorney and trying to, lessen the charges, I'm sure. Trying to paint his client as a good person. But anyway, he says the boy was found unconscious in the bathtub. You know what? Here's the thing. You know what that sounds like to me? Because I want you to pay attention, people. They say, yes, tampering with evidence, Just Biz. Absolutely. You cannot trust people with your children. Absolutely, Superstar Bella. Listen to this, though. Here's what I think happened. Let's not forget that they said that when the police arrived, that both the officers and his stepson's clothes were wet. And then the attorney says that the boy tried to hang himself and the cop cut him down, right? And cleaned him up and then left and then came back and found him in the bathtub. You know what happened? I think he got into a fit of rage, got upset, angry, and mad about something that was going on, like with the boy's mother, and took it out on him and then strangled and choked the boy to death. And then he didn't realize that he had killed him. He was hoping, like, wait a minute, I went too far. He could have just strangled him out of anger, not meaning to literally kill him. And then when he realized the boy wasn't coming back, wasn't waking up, he put him in a tub of water, fully clothed, to try to get him to come to. Isn't that what killers do when they trying to make the person come back to? I think that's what he did. I think he put him in the water to try to, wake him up out of it. But it was too late. He'd already killed him. So then he decides, wait a minute, let me just hide all the evidence and tell a lie that he left here. So they say this is absolutely heartbreaking, traumatic, and a horrific case. This was a young man with a bright future, yet his life, as it was intended to live, was tragically taken. DJ had just completed his freshman year in the biomedical health program at the Glen Burnie High School. He took great pride to excel in his academics. He was a magnet student and was an accomplished violinist. Wow. Do y'all hear this? Just gives me goosebumps. This child had everything going for himself. 15 years old. He was a scholar, a good student, and he was an accomplished violinist. And he was enrolled in the biomedical health program at his school. Now, he done took this little child out of here, not allow him to live his life and fulfill his dreams and become who he was truly meant to become. When things like this happen, we should ask ourselves and we should think about what has been taken from the world. Do you ever think about that? When they kill someone, when someone's life is cut short, do you ever think about what that person was put on this earth to do? What they were given this life to live? Why they were given this life to live? Like, some people come here for divine reasons. We all do. We come here for divine reasons. Our lives have purpose and meaning. And then someone to just snatch it up from you and take your life before you even get to start. That is just so sad. According to his classmates, DJ wanted to be a doctor. They say he was a good-hearted person, made jokes, was always funny. He was bright, and he always got his work done before messing around. This is what Taylor Wright, one of his classmates, said. Baltimore Police Commissioner Michael Harrison released a statement saying the alleged actions of the accused, Officer Banks, is not only deplorable but shocking to the conscience. This is a classic example of why I have advocated for autonomy and authority to terminate officers when they are facing heinous criminal allegations. Our department will continue to work closely with the Anne Arundel County Police Department during this ongoing investigation. Now, Baltimore police confirmed Banks was already suspended for a separate undisclosed incident. A bail review on the murder charges for Banks is scheduled for Thursday. or it has been rescheduled for Thursday. Now, Banks is already in jail on a no bail status and assault charges involving the officers. Anyone with information is asked to call police at 410-222-4731. I think we already know what happened. Clearly, his stepfather killed him. Okay? But here's the thing. He had some issues with the boy's mother. Okay? Yes, the boy's mother had left him. The boy's mother had left him. So I'm going to play this video. I'm going to share this video. And everyone, please, in the meantime, get the likes up. Please like and share the footage. Subscribe to the channel if you haven't done so already. Click the notification bell so that you're notified each time the Queen Goddess goes live. And don't forget to follow me on other social media platforms such as Instagram at QueenAShakur. Also on Instagram at divine_goddess_27.
Don't have control.
Twitter at DeepGoddess27.
Business.
Brighton and Patreon and melanated people.
Management deploys funds off.
There is new and conflicting information in this case. The city police officer's attorney believes this is not a homicide, but rather a suicide.
This is absolutely a heartbreaking, traumatic, and horrific case.
Baltimore City Police Officer Eric Banks Jr. is now charged with the murder of his 15-year-old stepson. According to investigators, Banks attempted to hide Deshaun Jones' body in an attic crawl space inside his home. The medical examiner determined Deshaun Jones died from asphyxia, the autopsy noting multiple injuries on Deshaun's neck, face, and mouth. According to classmates, Deshaun wanted to be a doctor and was an accomplished violinist.
He was always just a really good-hearted person. Like, he always made jokes, and he was, like, always funny and everything. He was bright, and he always made sure to, like, get his work done before messing around.
Police charging documents indicate Banks told police while sitting handcuffed in a patrol car, "My life is over," and begged the officer detaining him to choke me, choke me. Police say Banks and his stepson's clothes were wet. They also found wet clothing that smelled of bleach in a dresser at the house, and they appear to be bloodstained. Reached by phone, Banks' attorney Warren Brown says this may be a case of suicide. Deshaun first tried to hang himself. His stepfather cut him down, told him to clean up because he had to go with his mom, then found him unconscious in a bathtub. Court papers show Jones told officers he found Deshaun's body in the house and hid his remains, but he denies harming the teen. And he says he doesn't know how he died and could not reasonably explain why he hid the body.
I can't go into the specifics, but I can say with confidence he was very deceptive throughout the engagement.
City police confirmed Banks was already suspended for a separate undisclosed incident. The commissioner issued a statement saying, "The alleged actions of Officer Banks are not only deplorable, but shocking to the conscience. This is a classic example of why I've advocated for the autonomy and authority to terminate officers when they are facing heinous criminal allegations." A bail review on the murder charges is rescheduled for Thursday. Banks is already in jail on a no bail status for assaulting the officers who discovered the body of his 15-year-old stepson at his home. Reporting from police headquarters in Millersville, David Collins, WBAL.
Let me tell you all something. He told them to choke him. Yeah, he wanted them to choke him so he doesn't have to face what he's done. At the end of the day, choking, that's exactly what he did to the kid. He choked him to death. And like I said, maybe he didn't mean to kill him. He just got so enraged and angry and then put him in the tub to try to revive him. That's just what I'm thinking. You know, at the end of the day, let me tell you something. The police in Baltimore, so many of them are just wicked. We hear all the stories, right? About Baltimore police. And I think I told you all before, there was a guy that was an insurance adjuster in Baltimore, and he talked about how the police would always get all this money when they would shoot or kill people. They would get like $30,000 for post-traumatic stress disorder compensation, like workman's comp. I didn't know you got paid for that, for killing and shooting people. I didn't know. Who knew, right? But this is what he said. And a lot of these cops are nefarious, and a lot of them are abusive physically, mentally, and verbally, and that's just the facts, right? With that all being said, here's the thing. He was estranged from the boy's mother. She didn't want to be with him. She, in fact, had a restraining order, right? She tried to get a restraining order on him. But guess what? The judge denied it. Now, why did the judge deny the restraining order? Well, I don't know, but likely because he was a cop. I mean, they all work in concert together, do they not? The cops, the prosecutors, and the judges. That's what they do. They work in concert with one another. So likely the judge didn't grant her the restraining order because of the husband being a cop. And afterwards, she filed again, but this time they gave her the order, and it was just maybe hours or a couple of days before the young man was killed. So that's all crazy. Now, someone tweeted, Mike Helgren said Baltimore officer Eric Banks, his attorney, says there was a panic after his stepson died at his home, and after police came, he tried to get them to leave. He says the officer planned to kill himself. Police say it was murder and Banks was intentionally deceptive. That's what they say, and it sounds like that's exactly what he was. So with that all being said, Baltimore City Police Officer Eric Banks, his wife, wrote in an application for a protective order that she feared for her life. A judge denied that order. So it was a protective order, not a restraining order, but they're very similar, right? He denied the order. A second order was approved, but it was too late. Her son, Stepson, was dead before it was served. Now, how sad is that? The very people who are supposed to protect, right? If someone comes and says they need a protective order, clearly there's some reason, 9 times out of 10, unless they're just being nefarious. But most times, these people have a reason to fear. And how can you as a judge deny them that protection? That is so crazy. They say the son's mother filed several protective orders against her husband, claiming he was dangerous and was stalking her. She says, I'm in fear for my life and the well-being because Eric Banks keeps trying to control, follow, and emotionally abusing me and my sons. A judge denied the first one that was filed late in June, which was just last month, mind you, right? A second order was granted, but was unable to be served because Banks was already in custody after the discovery of the son's body. Banks's police powers had previously been suspended because of the protective order filing. Awad called on the community to uplift Hassan's mother and wrap their arms around her. More than $12,000 has been raised for the family. Hassan loved to play the violin and was an honors student who had just completed his freshman year at Glen Burnie College. So very sad, people. So very sad. And let me tell you something. At the end of the day, here's another video. I'm going to play this. I'm going to play this video. I don't know what this is about. It looks like maybe his attorney is saying something. It could be the same one we already saw. I don't know. I'm going to see. Why didn't she take her son with her? That's what I was about to say. I wonder why she left her kids, because there was 2 other kids there. So clearly those other kids were likely his with her, but the stepson was not his. So my question is, why did she leave any of her kids with this freak, with this fool, when he already threatened her life, or she's already afraid of fear of her life when dealing with him? Why would you trust him with your children? That makes no sense. I don't know why she left the kids with him, allowed them to go with him, or whatever she did. But sadly, I'm sure she regrets it now that her son is in fact dead at the hands of this fool. Everyone, please get the likes up. Please like and share the video.
The issue is, what gave rise to this asphyxiation, whether it was suicide or homicide. Now, the young man and my client had both spoke in the past about suicide. In fact, when my client was arrested, he was attempting suicide by a cop. He was hoping that he was going to get shot. He's had some issues that were born out of his service to his country in Afghanistan. Really, the issue is, what gave rise to this asphyxiation, whether it was suicide or homicide. Now, the young man and my client had both spoke in the past about suicide. In fact, when my client was arrested, he was attempting.
Okay, so there you have it, people. That's just also nefarious and very sad and unfortunate. And like I said, I'm just curious as to what the mother was doing. Why did she think it was okay to leave her children with him? He had all 3 of the children. I don't know why she would do that, especially when she needed a protective order against him, and she already said that he was stalking and threatening her, and she was in fear of her own life. She as well should have been in fear of her children's lives. So that just makes no sense to me. With that all being said, I'm going to conclude this broadcast, but before I do, I'm going to put the link in the chat. I'm going to put the link in the chat to this video on the spiritual channel, right? On the spiritual channel, Queen Amadai TV presents More Than Meets the Third Eye. Growing spiritually, physically, and mentally. That's the topic of today's spiritual vitamins. So I'm going to put this link in the chat so you can go and watch it. I just made it public about 30 minutes ago. There you go. Brother Sly says, make better choice regarding who you deal with. Absolutely. Absolutely, Brother Sly. Millie says she was that scared to leave her babies with him, but her son still was able to excel in school. Rest in peace, King. Absolutely, beloved. True Justice says, for real, Queen, what was the mother thinking? Absolutely. She obviously wasn't, right? Terry says, can't trust everybody with children, your child or children. This is all true. JP says, peace and blessings, Queen and family. Much love. JP, love you, Queen. And I love you right, Black JP. So thank you all for tuning Black in once again to Queen Amadai TV Presents True Crimes. And I hope to see you all right Black at 6 p.m. Eastern Standard Time on Authentic Black Goddess TV and also on the Queen EmadaShakur TV show for your daily vitamins, okay? And don't forget to stop over and subscribe if you haven't done so already to Queen Amadai TV Presents More Than Meets the Third Eye. And don't forget to check out the broadcast I did this morning. And my face is on there just so you all know, right? It was early in the morning. I didn't put my face on the screen. But make sure that you watch that video. Okay, growing spiritually, physically, and mentally, and how important that is to our situations. Okay, so until next time, Royal Family, I will talk to you all again soon. Peace.